Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Got to see Lieutenant Governor Trestle in action yesterday. First day on the job as he got sworn in. That was amazing. The rise of Julian Sayin inside the Woody Hayes winter workouts are fully underway. 6 a.m. workouts are around the corner. Very pivotal time for this new team. A little bit of intel that we've got on Patricia so far. The staff is getting a little bit of a break. I mean, it's been no rest for the weary since they've won the national title. Wow. But I think they're getting a little bit of time to relax now that the staff is set. So it's going to be a quick push to get to spring ball. But wow, it is already almost here. So with that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys spending Saturday with us. Again, we get a little early on Saturday, so especially when there's a huge UFC card because we like to watch those. So again, we appreciate you guys. It's midday; it's not our normal time, but I'll try to accommodate. There's a lot of really good sports on tonight. Team USA plays Team Canada in the Frozen Four, the Final Four, or whatever it's called, the four nations. So that'll be excellent to watch. So again, we just wanted to knock this thing out early. A lot of good intel, and we appreciate you guys. Hope you guys had a happy Valentine's Day. We had a wonderful Valentine's Day in the Barton household. It was fun. So we appreciate you guys. Sorry for taking the night off, but I did throw up a Jim Trestle interview for you guys. It's really good, so you guys should check that out. Him and Troy Smith were excellent. I saw a lot of my old Padres yesterday, and it was a really cool event because honestly, we don't really get together that often. So it was cool seeing probably about 200 former Ohio State football players in the state capitol yesterday. It was awesome. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in my current teammate and the guy that I do more work with than anybody, Mr. Nevadabuck. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Doing great. It's a nice. We had yesterday off a little bit, so we're back with a vengeance today on Saturday, and I'm excited. The midday shows always give me a little extra pep this up because I'm awake. Because normally I'm asleep by like 5 p.m. So this is good for me.
Yeah, I mean, when we do a midday show, you haven't had a chance to lose 2 soccer bets in like the 90th plus 8 minute. You say, Kirk, you won't believe I lost one at 90 plus 6 and one at 90 plus 8. I was like, probably should have went to bed at noon and just started over for the next day. But I've been there too. It's not fun. Like I wish that there was. I'll make a virtual reality component one day for soccer betting that like when you lose, it immediately just kicks you in the balls too. That'd be the greatest. I was like, just so dumb of me, but. You guys make sure you check out Dagestan Poppy as well. He's going to put his UFC picks out in a little bit. Check him out on Twitter. He's been crushing it. So Nevada, where to start? Obviously yesterday was amazing just because I love Jim Trestle more than any human being on the planet. My wife, obviously, Nevada, my business partner. Like, I mean, Tress has always been that guy, and he's that guy for a lot of people, but to see him get sworn in by Mike DeWine was really cool. And it honestly was really cool to see a ton of my former teammates because it was weird. Like when I was standing there, like at this big event and, I don't know the last time that I've seen Troy Smith, Maurice Claret, Terrell Pryor. Obviously I was a teammates with Reese or with Terrell. Some of these guys, they just don't come around a ton, not all at the same time. It was just it was cool, and there were guys from different eras. Obviously Trust was there from 01 to 2010, so there's a couple of like different eras, I guess you could say. There's the first national championship, then the later term. I saw Dane Sanzenbacher, who was a great player. I saw Bryant Browning and Chimdy. Make sure you guys check out their show. They do a great job. They love Buckeye Scoop. It was awesome seeing those guys and talk to them, and they really do a nice job. They got a nice interview with Denzel Burke that they did recently. But yeah, I mean, just a ton of guys, John Conroy, a lot of the guys that were maybe the fan base might not know as well, some of the walk-ons that were really good players and really good teammates. It's just great seeing everybody. I mean, it really was. Doug Worthington. I mean, there's so many guys, but it was fun. And I was really proud of Coach Tress. And I saw Beatty and Pitt, my boys, Chris Beatty Wells and Antonio Pittman both agreed to come on the show. I'll probably have them on separately just because I like when I have a guest to give them kind of make it their show. Pitt is doing great. He was fully attired. He's a firefighter, but he was in his full dressed out outfit. It was amazing. So I'm happy for Pitt. He's doing great. Beanie's doing great. Obviously working for CBS Sports. But it was just cool, man. Like I said, I love seeing these guys and seeing some of these guys you don't catch up. It kind of felt like a high school reunion. And like I said, the weird thing that I always joke about with Ohio State is like at any other school in the country, if you won the Big Ten, they'd probably have a 10-year reunion or a 20-year reunion or a 30, whatever. We haven't had a reunion for any of our teams yet because we won the Big Ten 3 times, but we never won a national title. So we don't really get recognized. It's kind of like you might as well not even win the Big Ten because it's so worthless. But it was great seeing those guys. Nevada, do you have any thoughts? I mean, I'm sure you probably didn't watch the whole ceremony, but it was cool sitting in there. And honestly, I had never been in the state capitol. It was a beautiful building, and I had a great time seeing everybody. Did you have any thoughts on Lieutenant Governor Jim Trestle?
Well, I'm just in awe that he's lieutenant governor. I just think that's like the coolest thing ever, and couldn't happen to a better person, better representative of Ohio State. Thought it was really special that what you had, Maurice was there and Terrell Pryor was there. I mean, that's.
I don't think they've ever been in the same room together. I mean, not
like ever.
Yeah, I mean, because they were both kind of not around Ohio State for a long time. Terrell still wasn't. And so, for them to be together, it was like there's any friction. I mean, Troy was there. Like I said, it was a nice turnout. It's kind of like an eclectic turnout. And there were some people that watched Buckeye Scoop there. Like I got a couple people that work, in the government that came up and they said, "I love your show." And I was like, "Seriously?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I actually got some contact info. So that was really cool. I was like, I mean, I had a gentleman, and I never know how to take this, and I've had people say to me, it's like, yeah, man, every time, like when, my wife and I were getting ready to go to bed, like, we lay down, turn the TV on, and I put your show on, and I never know if that's good. I was like, does that make you fall asleep faster, or is that just because it's the last thing that you want to watch before you guys zonk out? But he said that. I was like, I never know how to take that, because I was like, are we so boring that you guys fall asleep to us every night? But he meant it in a good way. It's like, it's kind of our tradition at night. We go to bed, we watch the latest episode of Scoop, and nod off. And I was like, well, I guess that's good, because that means it probably plays till the end, and they don't skip through the commercials on YouTube. So thank you, appreciate that. That's awesome. But it was cool. The thing about Tress is he's such a sharp person and such a smart person. He'll do great. I hope he runs for governor. I think that'd be incredible, because he's fair, he's razor sharp. I mean, he's enthusiastic as hell, and he's sharp as a tack, and he's a guy that's gonna do great things for the state of Ohio. So again, I'm just so happy for him. I'm proud of him. I probably won't have him as a podcast guest as much anymore, but I still have like 6 or 7 episodes when he came on here. So we still have the archives, baby. But I told him I'm ready to be the secretary of Scoop for the state of Ohio. That'll be absolutely great. So no, like I said, I'm just so proud of him. Anything else about it? We can move on to some Julian Sayin.
No, just it's a real tribute to Trestle that he had that many guys, because all those guys don't live in Columbus. They came from all over the place to be there, and that just shows you the connection he had with the players, what he meant to those guys, and great day for the state of Ohio to have a great man like that as lieutenant governor. That's just fantastic. I'm glad you got a chance to be part of that.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was just cool seeing a lot of guys that I haven't seen. It's always cool kind of just catching up for a minute, and it's interesting because like it's so crowded at something like that I actually didn't even say anything to Tress, because he was getting mobbed before the ceremony, because there's all these folks that are invited to the thing, and everybody wants to talk to him, and everybody wants to get a photo, and so I just texted him and said, hey man, I was there, it was great seeing you, you did awesome. But I didn't go up and bug him, because I mean the line was just like a mile long. I was just like, I'll let him. I'll be the one guy that just leaves him alone, because I know that it's an amazing honor, but it's also very draining when he's the focal point of attention. So let's get into Julian Sayin. So Julian Sayin is a guy who we're getting a lot of great intel on, a lot of buzz on to start this one-off, because he kind of, to me, he's by far, just like last year, the most important player on the field as a quarterback. But I think it's even more heightened this year, because you've got so much new blood on offense, and you don't have, in my opinion, I think there's a chance the offensive line could potentially actually be, I don't want to say better, it's hard because Donnie was so good at left tackle, but we've got really, really good players on the O-line. Our tight end will clearly be better. That won't even be close. Our receivers, I think our receivers could actually be better, which is crazy, losing Emeka. That's crazy to say, but I think JJ, if he takes another step and becomes more dominant, Carnell takes a step, and then Ennis grows. If you do the three receivers and the tight end, I think that this is a better group. Running backs, there's no chance we're going to be as good as Trey and Quinshawn. The line, I think, will take a small step back, but it'll be interesting to see how Ethan Onawa assimilates at left tackle, Philip Daniels at right tackle. The story of the year is going to be our pass blocking at tackle. Can we do it near the level that we were able to do last year? And then Julian Sayin, this is a guy that was in my opinion, the best quarterback in his recruiting class. Nick Saban's pick, 5-star kid. Bill O'Brien, what his lone contribution to his 5 minutes at Ohio State was he got us this kid when he hit the portal, and really good for us. Like I said, it's a guy that Ryan. I've made a lot of mentions about how Ryan is not scared to upset the apple cart in the quarterback room. If it isn't where he wants it to be, or he has an opportunity to improve it, he's going to. And so, Aaron Noland was a guy that was a bad take by Ohio State, and we thought that he could make it up here, and he really struggled his first month here. It was really bad. A lot of really bad things. And again, I'm not crapping on the kid. I'm just reporting it. So, when Julian Sayin became available, it was something where, Ryan Day's like, we got to rectify that room, because again, all of a sudden, imagine what this room looks like now if we don't have Julian Sayin in it. I mean, you got Aaron Noland versus Lincoln Keenholz, and that'd be terrifying at this point. So, you bring in Julian Sayin, who's a guy who is clearly much, much better than Air. Air takes off, goes to South Carolina. Great. Good luck to him. But this is Julian's team, and he's a guy who last spring got first team reps. He was a guy that was running with the ones a little bit with Will Howard. And I think he's the guy that's the future of the program. So I'm excited about him. And I think that he's got to process quick, get rid of the ball quick. Brian Hartline's surely going to throw the ball more than Chip Kelly did. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what we do with Julian to get him going early. And, he's going to be good. He's not going to be as good as Will Howard. Will Howard was the best we've ever had, but he's got to be close for us to be productive. Nevada, what have you heard on Julian Sayin as we head into the 6 a.m. workout period?
Well, we got a nice report today from helping technician on Julian, which is always good because helping technician, one of our great insiders at Buckeye Scoop, is really, really inside. So he kind of gives us the idea of what's being said inside the Woody Hayes, and he really likes you. Now, I personally like Julian a lot. Southern California kid, had a chance to watch him a lot in high school. Big arm. You mentioned how South Florida Express, who can pick any quarterback in the country, chose him to fly him around the country to chase them around and win 7-on-7 events. So he comes highly regarded from those guys, and certainly familiar with the South Florida Express wide receivers. But got to see him play a lot in high school, and who he reminds me. And I'm not saying he's going to be as good as, but he will remind you of, is Aaron Rodgers. He plays a lot like Aaron Rodgers. He carries himself the same way. When people say, is he athletic? He's like Aaron Rodgers was when Aaron Rodgers was young. It would run opportunistically, moved around well in the pocket, nimble. So he was not heavy-footed at all, but not, he's not Braxton Miller. He's not a guy he's not Terrell Pryor and a guy that's going to go run. But Julian averaged 6.5 yards a carry in high school. So didn't run often, but when he did, made the most of it. 9 rushing TDs in high school, really precise passer. I believe his senior year, he was something like 25 touchdown passes, 1 interception, and that was on a deflected pass. That they picked him out. So very, very precise, very, very smart, fast processor, big arm. Just he's not a big horse like Will Howard. Will Howard was a big horse. He was a big strapping dude, big raw bone dude there that could run out there, and you could run him 15, 18 times in the national championship game, and he could carry the mail for you to take a shot, and nothing like So Julian's not that guy, but he's good about avoiding hits. He knows how to get down, and I think he's going to be terrific. I think he's going to be a terrific pickup for Ohio State. I think he's the reason why Ohio State hasn't been actively looking at portal quarterbacks, has been Julian Sayin. Now, I think his demeanor is a little bit off-putting. He's a little casual. He's a little laid back. And I think people mistake that kind of California cool a little bit for lack of fire, but I don't see him that way at all. But so I'm excited about him. I'm excited about what he brings to Ohio State. And it's going to be different than Will Howard. It won't be as good. There's no way to replicate a guy coming in with 35 career starts and a Big 12 championship and that type of stuff. He's going to be raw and he's going to make rookie mistakes, but he's going to be here for multiple years. And by the time he leaves, he's going to be really good. And I can't wait to see him.
I got his tape rolling. For those of you that are on YouTube, you guys can obviously see some of these throws he's making are sensational. The touch, the accuracy. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns to Jeremiah Smith. I mean, again, he was, when Brett Getz is looking for a quarterback in South Florida Express, I mean, he had Noland, and wasn't good enough to play for him. I mean, like I said, I went to that tournament in Naples, and stood there, and he threw as many throws as I did. I mean, and the quarterback they had wasn't Julian Sayin. It was a guy that I don't even think was a D1 guy, and they played him over because and again, 7-on-7 it's like it's like being good at like a 3-point competition in the NBA or something. It's not the be all end all, but it said something to me that they didn't think air was good enough. And those 7-on-7 guys like from South Florida Express, like it's not their first time evaluating a player. Geno Smith came up there, Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner, played for them. Zay Flowers. I mean, they've had all these superstars that have come through there. So they've evaluated not just receivers, but skill players, but especially quarterbacks. Because, in 7-on-7, it is, there's a timer. There's no scrambling. It's pure reading defenses and making throws. Like, that's what it is. Like, there's, you're not going to be running. There's no running game to save you if you get shook. You got to keep throwing it. So, but they had Julian Sayin, and I'm telling you, look it up. I mean, there's a lot of really nice throws where he's connecting with JJ, and I think that was something that was intriguing to Julian. Obviously, it was coming up here, and he gets to play with JJ again. I mean, obviously, any quarterback. Like, I'm not trying to be some sort of wizard by projecting out that he's excited to play with Jeremiah Smith, just like any other quarterback with a pulse is. But he's got chemistry with him, so something I'm excited about. He has a much better tight end, with Max Clare. Max Clare is a kid that. They gave him a single digit. He's going to be wearing number 7 this year. The most talented tight end that we've had in a long time. Does everything. He'll be, top couple round pick. I think he has a chance to be his best friend in terms of just that work the middle of the field type outlet guy that he can become. I think that, I thought G. Scott really improved a lot as the season went on, especially productivity and blocking. He'll never be a great blocker. I frankly don't think he's an NFL player, but he was a good college player. Like he gave us all that he could really give us, and I think that that's something that he, like you can't fault a guy who position changed, and he never really blocked before he went to tight end, so he had to try to figure it out, and it's hard. Like it's like I say, to do anything at Ohio State where you're learning on the job is really hard to do. It doesn't matter if it's pass blocking, run blocking, playing offensive tackle, being a coordinator. It's not easy. So I give him some credit there. But, I think Julian, the thing that he has going for him is that he has Ryan Day still. So through the whole transition where he comes up here, Bill O'Brien takes the Boston College job, Chip Kelly comes in. The guy that wanted him the whole time was Ryan Day. So again, if as long as Ryan's still there and he's overseeing the quarterbacks with Billy Fessler, which I'm sure as much as Ryan wants to act like he's not going to have a role in coaching, I think it's going to go back more to the Corey Dennis model where Ryan's going to make sure that Billy Fessler is coaching exactly how he wants to coach. Because as great as Billy Fessler is and as much of a wizard and genius as he's alleged to be, he's not Chip Kelly. He's not even the same universe as Chip Kelly. And he needs about another 30 years of coaching to get in the same universe as Chip Kelly. But he was handpicked by Ryan Day to be the quarterback's coach. So he's doing something right, and he got hired by Joe Moorhead. He got hired by Chip Kelly, who are two of the best offensive minds in college football, or now the NFL for Chip. And I think that says something. So, I think Julian's going to get coached really hard by Ryan, and if he doesn't have a productive spring, I think Ryan's going to go into the second portal and look for a quarterback. Now, I don't know who's available, but again, sometimes it's not a thing where, who's available and, oh my God, we got to go get this. Because again, I always go back to Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons was a guy that none of us had ever heard of, including me, Mr. Big offensive tackle, offensive line guru guy. I had no idea who Josh Simmons was, never heard of him at all. And he shows up, and I watched his tape, and I was like, he's really athletic. That's a start. I don't like the penalties, but sometimes there's reasoning for it. And again, it reminds me a lot of, when I heard about people complaining about Seth McLaughlin's snapping, and he said it was based upon the cadence. We got intel that was based on the cadence last year. You can go back and read some of our old nuggets where the way that they did the cadence at Alabama with Milroe, and the clap, it really screwed him up because like if you're sitting there waiting for a clap and you've got some first round 330-pound defensive tackle on your shoulder and it's not rhythmic and you have no idea when it's going to come, like you can tense up a little bit. Like that's just part of playing in the SEC. Like if I was playing tackle and I had no idea when the snap count was coming, it would it would mess with you a little bit. And again, it's not snapping a football, but when someone his snaps were bad, and he says because we did this cadence where I had no idea when I was supposed to snap the ball, and then he'd roll some back there. I'm like, well, yeah, that's idiotic. So he comes here and his snaps were pretty good. I mean, I don't remember too many that were atrocious. It's certainly nothing like the Michigan-Alabama game where they lost, but I don't know. But I'm excited about Julian Sayin. I think he's got major upside. And Ryan Day doesn't go after guys that aren't great at quarterback. And again, if he's not up to it, guess what? Ryan ain't scared to go upgrade that room, and he'll figure it out. He for the rest of his life in the era of the transfer portal, he will never go into a season without a good quarterback ever again. And good. Awesome. I love it. Nevada, any thoughts? And we can dig into some super chats.
Yeah, no, I think that, the quarterback battle, we can talk about how many guys we lost, but if you said singularly, you're like, hey, what's the one thing? You can only watch one thing here during the spring. What's it going to be? To me, it's going to be the quarterback battle. It's going to be, can Julian Sayin get it done? Can Lincoln take a huge step forward? Where's Ohio State at the quarterback position? Because if you don't have a quarterback in today's college football, it's really hard to win. It's really hard. You certainly can't win consistently. You can win a few games, but you're not going to win big. You're not going to win a conference championship. You're not going to win games in the college football. You have to have quarterback play. And Ohio State's in a situation right now where you've the two guys between Lincoln and Julian, they've got one career start in that Cotton Bowl game from 2 years ago, whatever we want to call it. So it's they lack an experience, but a lot of talent in that room. You've got Ryan Day, so anytime you have Ryan Day, you're never going to have bad quarterback play. And I'm excited. Like I said, to me that's what makes 2025 so exciting. It's going to be all the new guys. 2024 was completely different. It was about everybody returning, one last ride, most talented roster in Ohio State history, national championship or bust. And this year's different. This year's about breaking some of the new guys, seeing how guys mesh, seeing how the new coordinators do. So different kind of challenges, different way of looking at the season, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think that the quarterback play and, for me for spring, it's going to be the offensive tackles and how do they work out? Because the interior was fantastic. So as long as they don't take a step back or relax, they're going to be fine. But, you're flipping a guy from right side to left side. Ethan, who's a big kid from Rice. And then you've got Philip Daniels, who played like 3 or 4 games last year. But I don't know. We'll see. He's a big, good-looking kid, but the standard's really high now. It's really high. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep that up there. And to me, the 2 biggest questions as we go into spring are obviously the quarterback is the biggest question by far. And then the D-line, the pass rush, especially the edges. The 2 defensive ends are 2 guys that played a lot down the stretch, but can they be every down defensive ends? Can they be running down defensive ends? Because the thing about Kenyatta and Caden is outside of just giving Jack and JT some oxygen, they weren't guys you wanted out there versus the run. They were humongous liabilities versus the run. And how does that change? Who else can play there? Gio get up a guy in the portal. Again, it's hard to find a defensive end in the portal that's any good, but if you go after one, how much you got to pay him, and how does it upset the room chemistry? Because I don't know if you could bring in a starter, but you got to look at the fact that you've got some really good guys that have waited around like Caden Curry and Kenyatta, and you got to see what they can do as starters, and that's going to be very interesting because those guys are they've been good energy guys, but they've got to step up in a huge way. And I'll say this till the day I die: people don't realize how good Jack and JT were. They really don't, because again, they get obsessed with sacks, and he's not as good as Chase Young. We have this, and I will say that this is something that's really stupid that we do, and there's a segment of the fan base that does this. We always have to like compare the current players to like the greatest player ever at that position, or the greatest recent player, or he's not as good as CJ Stroud or Zeke or Joey Bosa or Chase Young. And it really drives me crazy, because I'm like, some of these guys are like, people don't realize how good Jack and JT are. You won't realize it until we start this next year and our guys aren't setting the edge as violently as those two guys did. So, but that's my sermon. Nevada, anything? We will roll into some super chats.
No, I mean, we're gonna miss those guys mightily. I'm just so glad that we're missing them with the memories of a national championship.
Yes.
Because missing them, if we'd have just come up even 1 point short, 1 yard short, whatever short, would have just been, I would have hated that for the rest of my life. I literally would have hated that. But they won it all, and now I love it. So that makes me so happy.
And the thing is when you don't win it, people don't really miss you. They don't. Like, I mean, like, as much as people miss CJ Stroud or Marvin Harrison or some of these guys that were great players, like, when you never win anything of consequence, I mean, winning a Rose Bowl is still good, I guess, but it's like, you know, unless you win the big ring at this point, no one's ever really gonna miss you, you know. Now, you know, I mean, we got that big ring, and like I said, Will Howard should have a statue for what he did last year. I mean, that is a guy that was a grown man, took over the most veteran, maybe the team that had the best leadership I've ever seen at Ohio State, and he took it over and it became his team. You know, so emotional leader. He was only here for literally a year, and I mean, like, he got here in January, and then, you know, from January to, I mean, he's here for like a year and like 2 weeks, and he took the whole team over. And whew, I mean, the people that didn't like Will Howard, man, I don't even know what to say to him, because he was special. And again, I think that NFL teams, any NFL team that skips that guy, they're missing a guy that has every intangible: football intelligence, toughness, like all the stuff that the greatest players in the game have. He has in spades. So again, I'm going to try not to have my head hurt too bad when people were critical. All the people that were critical of Will Howard going into the season, it's almost crazy. All right, I'm getting some super chats. But yeah, he was something else. All right. This is great right here. Robbie Benson, thank you for the 10. Anytime the state media is against a hire, a la Chip Kelly, I'm all for it. Also still waiting on my hot dog wrappers from the national championship in the mail. Great show, guys. Nevada OH. I mean, like, anytime where I'm like, man, it's Saturday and I want to go spelunking or go take my kid mini golfing or something, you're like, dude, we got to do a show. I was like, I don't know. And then I get a super chat like that on my screen. It's all worth it, because that is nails. Again, anytime the state media is all in against something, bet as heavy as you can afford the other way, because the state media, they're the biggest bunch of do nothing, no intelligence. Like, I mean, I listen to their takes and I honestly feel bad for people that listen to it. I'm like these guys, and then I look at how many views they get, and I was, well, I get it now. I mean, I get it. Mom and dad are listening to it, and that's about it. But yeah, I mean, they're all against Matt Patricia universally. Matt Patricia's terrible. Chip Kelly's terrible. Justin Fry's terrible. You know, Justin Fry's making $1 million a year to coach in the NFL now. The guy that was the worst line coach that ever lived. I don't know. Jim Knowles. Like, I mean, they just stack it up, and it's like every time that they're down to the very dumbest they can be, they always double down and make that thing a little bit deeper. And it just kills me, because like I think Matt Patricia's is a sensational hire. Now, make sure you listen to what I'm saying. Our defense will not be anywhere near as good as it was last year. Not even close. Not in the same universe. If we're in the top 20, I'll be happy. Top 15. And I know that we're preseason number 1, but we lose so many great players that had so much experience. And we lose a really good college coordinator. So, you know, whatever Matty P can do, I'll be happy with. If we're confusing and multiple and we can scrape away and punish Texas a little bit, I'll be thrilled, because we just got to get through Texas, which obviously it's like, yeah, you just got to climb Mount Everest and then we'll be fine on the other side of that. But after that, you got 3, you know, cupcakes where he can really, you know, get to know the personnel better. But, you know, again, I sleep like a baby knowing that Matt Patricia is game planning against Steve Sarkisian. Matt Patricia is going to watch every game that I think Steve Sarkisian's ever coached, break down. Again, we just played him 2 games ago, so that's not real hard to do. See what he likes to do and scheme it up. And that guy is a insane, night owl, film watcher, guru, like all that stuff. So I'm excited about it because, again, like what Ryan Day likes to do is he likes to hire these guys that have coordinated big games before. Super Bowls, national championships, SEC championships, Big Ten championships. I love it. That is a great idea, and I'm super excited about it. Nevada, again, Robbie, you are the man. Thank you so much for making my Saturday. Literally, that made my Saturday. You say anytime State Media is against the hire Alex Chip Kelly, and I'm going to add Matt Patricia to it. I'm all for it. Also, still waiting on my hot dog wrappers from the National Championship of the Mail. Great show, guys. Nevada, any response to Robbie? Robbie, you are the man. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day, great weekend, great rest of your life, because that was awesome. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Well, yeah, the last 3 big picks from the credentialed media was Will Howard, not OSU caliber, Chip Kelly, fraud, games passed him by, and Jim Knowles runs a gimmicky defense, and it'll never work at Ohio State. That was the position. Those are the stated positions of those guys, and it is funny how good of a contrarian indicator they are. Because when they go on, it's rare when they go on something and I'm in agreement with it. I feel bad. I feel dirty being in agreement with those guys because I invariably know that my take is wrong or incorrect or I need to change my mind. As for the trash from the national champion, yes, send it to BuckeyeScoop.com and just let know what address you want the trash sent to. Like I said, I've got these 7 heaping bags of trash that I brought back from the thing that I can send you, so you too can have trash from the national championship game. And it's awesome. I got to get out of my garage though, man, because it's going to attract rodents and stuff like that. So I got to get it out. So, and if you want trash stuff from the national championship game, send it to me, and I'll send you some trash. You can keep it around, put it around your man cave, sprinkle it around there. Your wife comes in, it's like, hey, what's it? You're like, hey, trash from the national championship game. Nevada, send it to me.
Now the thing is, though, is like because they had those cheap concessions. Is it all the stuff? Is this authentic Nevadabuck eating hot dog grabbers? Like, what have like your like relish and your like onions and stuff on it, like soaked into your little hot dog wrappers and stuff?
There's only so much because I only went to because I went to the concession stands once because the lines were kind of crazy, not to get in the stands per se, but just to kind of get in and out of the seats. So it's a lot of strangers trash. So there is some Nevadabuck trash sprinkled in there, kind of like the golden tickets, but the rest of it is just strangers trash. Some people from Notre Dame, some people from Ohio State, but I just figured I'd just scoop up as much trash as I could because I knew people want that. They want that authentic memorabilia trash from the national championship game, and I got it, man. I'm cooking.
I'm glad you went there, man. It's a great way to help make everybody feel special is having some of that national championship trash.
Some trash. Exactly.
Get a bag of trash. The Grinch who stole Christmas, walking out of the big bag of trash.
7 bags of trash. Every one of my kids like, hey, grab a bag of trash. Each one of your
kids, like you took the little thing off the trash can. You lifted it up, the hefty bag out, and slung it over your shoulder. What are you doing with that, sir? Oh, we're sending that to our subscribers. they're gonna love us forever.
They want trash. Here's some authentic trash.
This is authentic national championship trash. We didn't go to our own trash can. We brought it all the way from Atlanta.
All the way from Atlanta, baby. All the way. Cheap trash.
Thugly TV, thanks for the 5. Sayin versus Arch Manning. I know Arch had more playtime last year. Is our boy Nassir? Well, I mean, Julian Sayin's a pure thrower, and we've got way better receivers. So, again, to me, as easy as is this quarterback better than that quarterback? It's because it's the whole squad. Is JJ and JJ and Brandon Innis and Carnell Tate and Travis, aka Max Clare, is that core 4 better than their core 4 skill guys are going to throw it? I think they are. Honestly, and this isn't me being so, obviously any idiot in the world could say this. We have the best battery between quarterback and skill positions that are going to catch the ball of anybody in the country. And it's not even in the same universe, not even close. So Yeah, I think that it's going to be Julian is going to have better targets to throw to, and I think that that matters. Like that was something I used to always say about Brady versus Manning, is I always thought Brady was better than Manning, but Peyton played in a dome, and he had Marvin Harrison, and he had Reggie Wayne, and he had Dallas Clark, and he had Edgerrin James, and like Tom Brady had he had Gronk, but those other years he had like Deion Branch and David Givens. I mean, they're not getting any Hall of Fame votes. Like, Peyton had two Hall of Fame wide receivers and a Hall of Fame running back to hand the ball to. So, I never thought Peyton, and he played in a dome for half the games, and he played in an easier conference where there's no weather. He'd be playing Tennessee and, those types of teams, Houston. So he's not played in severe weather like Brady did for half the year. So, I always thought Brady was better. Now, his stats weren't better because his offense wasn't built for just piling up yards, but that was just always my opinion. So I think Julian Sayin, is he better than Arch next year, game one? I don't know. But Arch didn't beat out Quinn. And so, we're going to see. But Arch has got, he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders now. I mean, he was the Heisman favorite. Last year's Heisman favorite, Carson Beck, like he didn't even get invited to the ceremony. So that's not always, sometimes that's a little bit of a curse, I think. Nevada, your thoughts? Thugly TV, thanks for the 5. Appreciate you, man. It says Julian Sayin versus Arch Manning. I know Arch had more playtime last year. Is our boy Julian Sayin nastier? What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, look, Arch just has got more game reps. He just got a chance to really get game, and there's no substitute for that. And so, um, I think I don't know if he's nastier. I just know Julian. I mean, Julian played a high level of high school ball, really highly regarded, smart kid, fast processor, and I think he's going to be great for Ohio State. Now, is he going to be great day one? I don't know. I mean, it's rare error for those guys to come out firing day one. We've seen it, but I don't. That's a heck of a game to have as your first game. Could be a 1-2. I don't know, 1-3, 2-3, or whatever. It's going to be a top 5 matchup right off the bat. Your first game ever in front of a sold out Ohio Stadium and celebrating the national championship. So it doesn't get much bigger than that. So it's going to be, but it'll be fun. I don't think there's a lot of pressure on him in terms of doing it. The only thing I hate about that game, I hate that game is so meaningful to our national championship opportunity next year in terms of the playoff, because I think you lose that game, you can only lose one more game the whole year. And people can say, "Oh, no, it's early and you can lose 3." I don't think you can lose 3 and make it. And you get zero credit for strength of schedule. Nobody try to sell me on they count the strength. No, they don't. They don't count strength. They just don't. We lost by 1 point on the road last year against number 1, and it cost us seeding against Penn State, a team that had the same record as us, that we beat on their home field. We didn't get seeded over them. So don't tell me that losses don't matter, because it's all about losses. And like I said, if Ross Burke was smart, he'd cancel all those games. I'd get rid of every single one of them on our schedule going forward, because I do not think the juice is worth the squeeze on that. I think it's a big risk, and it's a big risk for Julian. It's a big risk for Ohio State, and I wouldn't play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's why eventually we're going to see the Super League, where it ends up being the SEC versus the Big Ten, and it's 20 teams in each, and the top 40 secede from the NCAA. Because I'm like you, like I love the big regular season games. Like I played against Texas. We lost them in 2005, beat them in 2006. Those are fun to play in. Now they're stressful as can be, but they're fun to play in. And again, there's a different level of juice when you're going to play Texas. And when you got them week 2, obviously you're going to focus on Miami of Ohio or Northern Illinois or whoever, but Texas is always at the front of your mind. And so I loved those games because people are so excited about that, and you got to beat Texas, and it sucks to lose, but like I'm like you, I don't know if there's something where strength of schedule should supersede win-loss record, because again, Indiana and their douchebag head coach, who's the most bluster of any idiot I've ever met in my life. And again, the thing about him is all of these morons that cover college football, they voted him as the national coach of the year, and he won every coaching award. And I'm like, dude, they didn't play anybody. I mean, they played a soft schedule, except for they played us and we housed them, which of course, but I don't know. There's got to be something to keep these big games on the schedule, man, because it's not fair to college football fans. It's not fair to season ticket holders for us to play nothing but FAMU and Akron and Western Kentucky and those schools, because those games all suck. Nobody wants to go to those. I mean, they're fun to go and see the backups in the fourth quarter, but outside of that, man, I don't even like one of those games. And I love Ohio State football. I covered for a living, and I'm an expert in the field, but give me that Texas game, that Notre Dame game, that Georgia game. We got Bama early in the season. I love those games, man. And honestly, I love the home and homes, because I like when our fan base has a chance to go to a different city. They get to go to Oklahoma, or get to go to Austin, or they get to go to wherever. Like, I think that's great. I mean, I had so many fans talk about how much fun they had in Austin in 06. They went down there after we lost, and we had to avenge them, but our fans went down there and just drank every ounce of alcohol on 6th Street and partied and ate Tex-Mex, and we showed up and stomped a mud hole in them, and it was great, and I love hearing stories, like, as a former player that I played in that game and played well. Like, it makes me happy that people had such a good trip there. So, but because those are stadiums that I don't think many people would see or go to unless we had a home and home. It's like my wife Kim, she went to Florida State, and I mean, she always wants me to go to a Florida State game. And I'm like, well, until Ohio State plays there, I'm not going to go. And even if they do play there, I probably still won't go because I want a podcast after the game. But, she's like, well, do I really want to go to Tallahassee to watch Florida State versus North Carolina or Clemson or whoever? No, I'd rather watch paint dry. So, unless they join the Big Ten, which would also be cool. But yeah, I hate that the strength of schedule thing doesn't get counted for, and it really, it angers me. AT, thanks for the deuce. What were some of Noland's problems at Ohio State, Nevada OH?
I
won't go in too deep, because, again, I think that, I always tell you guys this because, again, I've lived it. I'm not these reporters that, fawn over 18-year-olds and DM them and send them photos. Like, that's just not my thing. But I've seen these kids in action. I've seen them as a teammate. I've seen them as a coach. I've seen them covering this stuff. So a lot of these kids struggle getting used to college. They struggle being away from home. They get homesick. Whatever. Air had some issues where he was late to workouts. He missed workouts. He wrecked his car. And again, I'm not saying that people can't get car wrecks, but it was like he's like left it there. There's just a lot of weird stuff going on. Acting weird in the building. And again, I'm not trying to pile on Air. I hope Air has a great career. Like, I have nothing against Air Noland. I don't care. But we're reporters. And again, when we get intel on stuff, it's just like one of those things where we don't like to go with that because, I'm not trying to denigrate the kid or make him look bad, but he's not here anymore. And, when Ryan Day, takes you and you're the only quarterback in the class and you show up and you're acting like that, and then Julian Sayin comes available, it's like, look, I mean, guys, like, it's kind of like you get married to some chick and then she runs off for the first 5 days of the marriage. You're like, well, God, we probably got to get this thing annulled pretty quick. Probably got to get divorced pretty quick because clearly I made a mistake here or something. So there's red flags. And so, again, it's nothing against Error, but he I promise you, if a kid screws up early on in his career, especially in the first month, he's never going to make it. He has no chance at all. He'll be gone. He'll get flushed down the toilet. He'll be another brick in the wall at Ohio State, because that's how it is. Because that first month that you're on campus, man, you want to talk about being hyper on point, hypersensitive, setting 2 alarm clocks. I mean, you can't be late to 6 a.m. workouts. You can't be late to, Mickey Marotti's weight room stuff. You can't be late to team meetings. Like, you can't. You should be terrified, especially in the transfer portal era. Because they can literally replace you. Like, they can replace you in May when the second window opens. So don't give them a reason. And Air gave them 50 reasons. And guess what? They did. Because at the end of the day, Ryan Day is trying to take care and feed his family. Now, I know he makes 10 million, 12 million, whatever he makes a year now. But so I know that he can buy a lot of hamburger helper for 12 million. Trust me, I get that. But at the end of the day, that's how you have to look at the lens of him, Chip Kelly, Justin Fry. If you got a guy in your room that's constantly screwing up and he might not ever get it, then you got to make a plan. And you got to say, hey, this guy is never going to be able to contribute because he can't even handle getting to the weight room. How are we going to trust him on 3rd and 5 versus Michigan? Can't. So he's gone. And we got Julian Sayin, which again, humongous upgrade. Humongous. And he already has chemistry with JJ Smith. So I'll take that. Nevada, any thoughts on problems with Eric Noland at OSU? You there? You're muted. Home slice.
Yeah, no. I think you covered it pretty well. I'm not comfortable going into it anymore. I think that was a pretty good rundown. Just Eric had some issues. Probably best for him to get a new start. And I wish him well. I think he's a good quarterback and be the right quarterback in the right system. Just it wasn't a good match with Ohio State, and so on to Julian Sayin and Lincoln.
Yep. All right. Pedro's Lucario, thanks for the deuce. If Julian Sayin is anywhere close to Aaron Rodgers, I'll take it. I think the comp is the most accurate one because the guy is a wizard. He's a computer on the field. He's brilliant, but he's also very not a huge guy. He's not like a Brady or a Roethlisberger. He's like A-Rod. Like Aaron Rodgers was not the biggest guy, but he was very mobile. Not a guy that you're calling designed runs for because he's kind of a slight dude, but could run when he needed to. And that's all I want is I want a guy that if he has to run, he can run. So that's what he is. And he's a really good player, man. He's the best quarterback in his class. And, like I said, Ryan pulled the trigger for him and it was awesome. Like I said, when we got him, I was like, this is the guy that's going to be our future. And here we are. The future is now. Nevada, if Julian Sayin is anywhere close to A-Rod, Pedro will take it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I use the comp only to describe his style of play. A-Rod's first ballot Hall of Famer, Mount Rushmore, great quarterbacks. But Julian's a little guy like A-Rod, big arm, and again, moves like him. Just very opportunistic runner. If you need it, he can go get it. He won't hesitate to run on 3rd down. So I like that about him a lot.
All right, so the Mount Rushmore is 4. So he's on your Mount Rushmore of great quarterbacks.
Yeah. He's on my Mount Rushmore for sure.
So I mean, Mahomes and Brady have got to be locks on everybody's, and then the other two, you got to go with like him, Montana, Manning. I don't know who else. That's tough. Putting him versus Peyton or Joe Montana, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've got A-Rod over Peyton, but and Peyton was terrific. Peyton's a great guy, smart guy, funny guy. So you're talking about various degrees of excellence. But I mean, in terms of pure throw, when A-Rod was on as a pure thrower, he had no peer. Not Mahomes, not Brady. When he was dialed in, he was dialed in. And he did more with less. You want to talk about a guy that did it with less? Go look at his wide receivers, James Jones and guys. I mean, he would do it with a bunch of, none of them were 1st-round picks, just a bunch of scrap heap guys, and he'd go out there and win NFL MVP. So yeah, A-Rod's in the rear for me.
Got you. All right, Thugly TV, thank you for the deuce. Also, what we see Byron Graham finally is our 4th. I think they got to get him cooking, man. I think they got to get him cooking. I think they have to. I think with Milan, he's too valuable. He's a 5-star. If he's not getting if they're not turning up with him, man, it's going to be tough for him to not consider the portal. Which again, I'm not. This is just pure speculation, but it's like when you're that good and you're that dynamic and teams are in love with you and everything else, then I mean they got to get him involved this spring. Like they can't shelf him because it's just the era we're in now, and I think that he can be pure dynamite as a player, and I think that he's the guy that's the most slept on because he wasn't a spring practice guy. So that is probably the name that we're watching the closest through winter workouts and through spring practice because he is the guy that everybody wants to hear about. So I think Milan Graham is going to be the truth, and I think that Brian Hartline's going to figure out ways to use him. Nevada, your thoughts on Milan Graham? Can he finally be our 4th wide receiver?
Yeah, I think he's the next big thing. I mean, I'm hearing that from a number of people that are like, don't sleep on that guy. He's another guy that's kind of flown a little bit under the radar, as much as you can be under the radar as a 5-star. But I think he's the next big thing in terms of wide receivers at Ohio State. So that's how good he is. Are you talking, Mr. Barton? If so, we are in Muteville right now.
No, sorry. I was putting his film on, and it's his first play is literally, I think, 90, maybe 95 yards. Where they snap this at? They snap it out about the 5 or the 6 yard line here. So this is 94, 95 yards. I mean, like right there, it looks like he's got two guys with the angle on him, and he makes one move, man. And when you're this safety, you're like, oh God. Like when you're this little white dude, like this is where you're just like, oh God. Genetically, I'm just not quite.
That's Pantone chasing him right there. That's Pantone.
Right here. That is him. That is Mark Pantone. It's Mark Pantone. I made him a capital I at the end. So there's Pantone right there. He's got his little khakis on, got his little sunglasses on right there. There you go. And he's like, man, this is why I know that after I'm done playing high school football or being the water boy in the high school football team, I'm going to have to be a personnel guy. Because right there, you get that angle. It's like, see ya. There's Pantone. There's Volt. There's Voltolini right there. There you go. There's Volt. He's back there. just like chug-a-lug, baby. Chug-a-lug.
Eat the sandwich.
Slow, man. Oh, God. But that's what we need. I mean, with this guy's wheels, man, you got to get him the ball. I mean, that was the most basic little throw. Now, obviously, you're not going to do that in the Big Ten, but you still might get 15 or 20. You're not going to get 94 like when you're playing a couple of white guys at safety. But hey, he can't pick who he plays against. All right, Cordero Jackson, thanks for the 5. Love the show. Appreciate you, brother. Love you guys. Love you as well. Hope you're having a great day. Over under 10 wins next season. In the future, OSU should not schedule out of conference teams like us playing Texas. Well, Nevada, I mean, over under 10 wins. Is that, when they do the over-unders, is that just regular season? That doesn't count the playoffs and the bowl game, right?
Yeah, it's just regular season. Exactly.
I mean, outside of Penn State, Texas, Michigan, like, is there another scary one out there to you?
Well, I mean, we've got, like, I think we got our 4 road games are at Illinois, at Wisconsin.
That's a real one. At Illinois.
At Michigan, and we got another one. I don't remember who the 4th was, but anyway, we've got a little stretch there in the middle. It's going to be a little bit challenging. Don't have the schedule right in front of me, but I've seen 10.5, and I think that's a good number. I wouldn't bet over that, and I wouldn't bet under that. So I mean, could I see us losing 3 games next year? Yeah, very easily. I could see us losing 3 games, and that's why I know as romanticizing we are of these big out of conference games. Now that we've added USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington, I think we get enough big games on our schedule. And frankly, I'd rather we're playing Mercer week 1 than Texas, because it's all about the college football playoff champion. There's only one champion from last year, and it was Ohio State. Forget the bowls, forget the Big Ten game, forget rivalry games. There's only one champion from last year, Ohio State. And it's all about winning that 12-team playoff. And so anything that deters you getting into the 12-team playoff is a bad thing. And if you don't get credit for wins and all you get deducted for is losses, like happened last year, I think these games are too. It's high risk, very little if no reward. So I wouldn't play them.
I think that this schedule is absolutely brutal. And if you put a gun to my head, I'd probably take the under 10, which again, I'm not Mr. Negative Town, but it's like, you got Texas to open up. They're number 2. We're going to be 1. And again, it comes down to our defensive ends, our offensive tackles, and our quarterback. But obviously, Texas is a coin flip. That's not going to be an easy one. Obviously, the next 2 are going to be cakewalks with Grambling and Ohio. Then you're off. So you get that super early bye week after 3 games, which is as early of a bye week as I think you can get. Then you have to go out to Washington, and that is a humongous flight. I mean, I did that my senior year in 2007. And we went out on Thursday, which I thought was good. And then we did the walkthrough and stuff on Friday, already out there adjusting to the time zone. But that's a long flight out to Washington now. So you're going to play Washington. The Fighting Brewsters are going to be out there. Minnesota is no cakewalk. As much as you want to say about them, the good old Goldie Gophers, but they beat teams that they shouldn't beat. and they're never fun to play against. At Illinois, it's going to be interesting because they've got a lot of guys back, and that's an interesting stadium because we always played terrible there. We played terrible there in 06, then we lost them in 07. It's quiet. It's a crappy little stadium. There's usually not a lot of fans there. It'll be a packed house when we come to town, but it's just a weird place to play. So that'll be an interesting one. Camp Randall, obviously, it will be a night game. That'll be unless it's the big noon. Again, I don't know what the draft rotation is for the networks, but I'm sure that Washington they won't make a night game because that'll be. Or I mean, they could make that a night game. Illinois obviously will be a night. Those guys are all going to want those to be night games. Do they make Penn State a night game? There's another one that'll probably be a big nooner. At Purdue, again, another crappy stadium, sleepy. They got it upgraded in a coaching staff this year with Odom coming in. UCLA is coming here, thank God. Rutgers and Shiano, never fun to play. Then at Michigan. That's a brutal schedule, in my opinion. Now, Nevada, am I reading this wrong? Because that middle part where you're playing, I do like the bye week before Penn State. That is huge. I'm not sure if Penn State has a bye week. I would guess they probably don't. Because I think when we played Penn State this past year, they had a bye week and we didn't. So hopefully they don't have a bye week. But I mean, that middle stretch of Washington, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin, like that's not going to be a cakewalk by any stretch, just because of the travel. I mean, you've got 3 out of 4 road games. That's brutal. With a bye week, kind of a bye week sandwich. But what are your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I think it's a tough schedule, man. And like you said, Washington. I mean, that was the 4th road game that I forgot about. I mean, at Washington, at Michigan, at Illinois, at Wisconsin. Those are not. None of those are easy. None of those games are easy, and that's yeah. And then you throw Penn State in there, who a lot of people feel like is the best team in the country next year. And then and by the way, we play Texas in our non-conference game. I'm like I said, I'm going to get over it. I'm going to stop griping about it, but not happy about it. I just don't see what you get. You lose 28-27 to Texas, and all of a sudden you've got 1 loss, and now you're down. Whatever people say, man. When it comes to the end of the year, last year, Indiana played absolutely no one. Played no one. The one serious game they had on the schedule was us, and we beat them by 3 scores, and they made the playoff. Why? Because they had 1 loss. Why did they have 1 loss? Because they didn't play anybody. So, I think it's great. Penn State was the same thing. Penn State parlayed the weakest schedule in college football into almost making it the national championship game because they had the weakest schedule. Then they got this incredible schedule in the college football playoff. So, I mean, scheduling matters. And the schedule maker did us no favors this year. And we did ourselves no favor by scheduling this Texas game because you lose that game, man. And I'm telling you what, you can lose 1 more game the rest of the way, and then you're done.
Well, I mean, let's show you how it's done, baby. Let's pull up Indiana right here. Okay, let's pull up Indiana. Now, obviously, they're in the Big Ten, so they can only control so much. Who do they open up with? Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Seriously. We open up with, we got to play, we always play a back school, but we play Texas. So a team that could easily beat us because they're really good. And they open with 3 teams that they'll be 50-point favorites in their first 3 games before they go to Illinois. So they basically have an entire month to game plan for Illinois. And then they have to play they have to go 2 outs in, which will be a bludgeoning. But even so, they don't have Ohio State, they don't have Michigan. So I mean, they're still living right, but look who they open with. I mean, Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Really? But I mean, imagine, Nevada, imagine if we just played their schedule, at Oregon, Michigan State, UCLA. I mean, I know it's the Big Ten, but this is, I mean, I don't know. They open with 3 absolute cream puffs. And again, why does that matter? Because when you're breaking in a brand new team like we are this year, this is a whole new team. Even if you go out there and vomit, you're still going to win by 28 points.
But Kirk, now do Penn State. Go do Penn State for 2025. Right. Let's see who they play. I don't know if you're talking, but you are muted because I'm not hearing any words.
Sorry. Nevada, Wolfpack, FIU, and Villanova. So, yeah, I mean, that's the meta now, dude. You know, and the funny thing is, in the coming years, we've got Alabama coming here. We've got, I don't know if do we still have Georgia coming here too? I mean, God bless. Nevada,
Which again,
FIU, Villanova.
made sense in a 4-team scenario when you need to differentiate. You need to make the top 4. Having those big out of conference wins really differentiated you. And while they were risky, you got the benefit because you needed to be part of that 2-team or 4-team playoff. Now in a 12-team playoff, it's all about number of losses. So the game has changed, and Ohio State's got to recognize that the benefit of these big. I mean, nobody else is scheduling the way we're scheduling, and Indiana and Penn State they're gonna do it again. Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. That's who they're playing. So what are the odds that Penn State gets through their regular season schedule with 1 loss? Pretty high, because they don't play anybody.
Well, yeah, and then you go to 27, like for us, and who do we got? The Alabama Crimson Tide coming to town. So we've got a home with them. And then 28, we have to go down there. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, oh my God. It's going to give me a migraine looking at this. You know? I mean, so 28, we got to go back down there. And then 29, it falls off. We're going to go back to probably just Cupcake City because I don't. No. 29, we don't have anybody. But then there's only one on the schedule so far for 30. And who is it? At Georgia.
Yeah.
Let's play at Georgia.
No,
and then 31, they come up here.
It's crazy, dude. It's absolutely crazy. Oh, my God.
Well, I mean, it's like, to me, I don't think it's crazy, but you gotta get rewarded for this. You know? I mean, you should get rewarded for hosting a game like that and having the balls to schedule something like that, you know? I don't know. Well, it sucks.
I've yet to see teams get rewarded for strength of schedule. Every year, and I've been doing this for a long time, and every year they say that it'll matter, and then every year, that's how BYU won the national championship back in '85 or whenever it was. They played no one all year, but they were the only team left at the end that had a 0 on the right side of the thing. So you know what? They're the national champion. And it didn't matter that they hadn't played anybody. It didn't matter. They were the 0. So it's been that way for 4 or 5 decades, and it'll be that way again this year. And everybody will, oh no, these games are great. They're not great. They're risky, man. Risky for the biscuit.
It is risky business. Great movie.
Risky business.
Great flick.
Yeah.
Airbud.
Not Airbud. Not Airbud, but it was great.
Hey, that's my boy, man. That's Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs, aka Airbud. Airbud for Heisman this year. My boy Caleb Downs, aka Airbud. Jim Jackson, brother, what is up? Hope you and your wife had a great Valentine's Day. Thank you for the 10. Burke, any chance we go after a running back or D lineman in the next portal? Love y'all. Love you too, my dude. Nevada OH. Oh yeah. I mean, this staff is as faithful as their options at this point. So D line for sure. I just don't know what kind of quality is going to be in that second portal. But if somebody doesn't like their new coordinator or their new coach or something and they can help us, then giddy up. But running back is tough, though, because we just got Sam Williams-Dixon back. And it's like we've got, like 3 freshmen that just showed up. And we've got James Peoples and we took CJ Henderson. It's like, I don't know how many running backs we need. I mean, obviously, you need 2 that can play. You need 3 that can play. And they think Peoples can play. So... and they went out and got CJ Donaldson. So they got 2 guys that they think can play, but I don't know if a star, I mean, again, I don't expect a Quinshawn level guy to enter the portal in the second window, but if it happens, I'd go take him. And honestly, I mean, I would take any good player. If he's good, if he's a quarterback, if he's an offensive guard, if he's a center, no, he's got to be a dominator. He has to be better than what you got. Cause you got to think if you take somebody that you're going to make somebody angry and someone's probably going to portal out, but you got to kind of work through all of that mentally and say, is it worth bringing him in? Because if it's a superstar at the end, absolutely. But he's got to be a big jump. Nevada, your thoughts? Do we go after a running back or D lineman in the next portal? What say you?
Yeah, for sure. No, and I agree with you. I mean, you're basically going after everybody. You're looking to upgrade any and all positions, um, with and you have no feelings about it. Just it's where we are in 2025 with free agency. It's the downside for players. So there's a lot of upside for players in terms of free agency. It's like, hey, you guys you can leave, you can portal out, you can make money, you can. The downside is you can lose your job. So it's the old be careful what you wish for because it may work against you at some point. And Ohio State's just kind of trying to play the cards that are dealt them. But I would expect them, if there was a good running back available, I could see him making a move and without hesitation.
Beth and Karis, what is up? Thanks for the 5. Hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day as well. Spring is coming soon. When is our next meetup, Nevada OH?
I
want you to comment where you guys want us to have the next meetup at. And there's a decent shot. We are talking to B-Dubs right now about doing the spring game meetup again because I thought that was a huge success and people loved it. So, but there's nothing finalized. So we are talking to them and figuring out where they want to do it at. So we got to get some stuff figured out. But we will have a meetup again very soon. And I look forward to seeing all of your smiling faces because it's always a great day to see you guys. Mark Pollitt, thank you for the 20. Often think of the player that took his life on the 2020 or the 2014 team. Did his family get a national championship ring? I would like to think so. Should make a movie of that team. Third-string quarterback, loss of life. Wasn't that the year Bo died? Nevada OH. Coach Kara George, passed away. Bo died in 06 because that was actually before the 1-2 game. It was literally the Friday before the game, which was, it's the Thursday night before the game, and we found out about it like Friday before the game. It was crazy because I think he went and taped his TV show, and I think that's when his heart gave out because I think that he was in the middle of taping the show, and they had to call the ambulance, and he obviously passed away. But that was crazy when Bo passed away the day before the 1-2 game. But I'm not sure if Costa Kara George's family got a ring. I'd imagine they probably did, but I do not know that for sure. It would make a lot of sense. So, tragic loss. I mean, he died. I remember being at that Michigan game and they put him on the board and said if there's any thoughts on his whereabouts. I mean, this is when they still didn't know he was gone. He was just missing at that point. So if anyone has seen him contact this number, they put it on the Jumbotron. That was strange. It was terrible. But yeah, that was a team that should have a movie made about him. But it was a special team, obviously, with JT getting hurt, and then Braxton getting hurt, then JT getting hurt, and then Cardell stepping up. What an incredible run for that team. Let me see if I can get this next one up. Pedro Lucero, thanks for the deuce. So what defensive scheme should we be expecting with Matt Patricia? Whew, that is a tough one because he has run every defensive scheme known to man in the last 20 years. And he's a guy that, he and Bill Belichick are as good as there's ever been at adjusting to the talent that they have. And he's run everything, odd defense, the 3-4 stuff to the even fronts to, I watched him run 2-4-5, which is 2 down guys, 4 linebackers and 5 DBs. I mean, he runs everything, man. And he's always about affecting the quarterback and confusing the quarterback and hitting the quarterback and disrupting the offensive line. Something that he's really excellent about is he loves to confuse offensive linemen, protections. He was the cool thing about him is he actually was an offensive lineman. Like he was like me. He played offensive line in college, obviously at a much smaller school. So he really understands protections and what teams are trying to do to protect. And that's how he develops his entire pressure plan with blitzing and sim pressures and a lot of the stuff he likes to do. So I honestly, of all the guys that we've brought in, he's the hardest guy to project just because like with Jim Knowles, we knew it was going to be the 3 safety thing that he with the jack. And obviously he got here and we didn't do much of the jack. So he had to kind of adapt more to the 4 down stuff that Larry wanted. But I thought what Matt Patricia does is very difficult. And again, the thing I've said and the thing that I love is as much as we have no idea what he's going to run, Steve Sarkisian has no idea what he's going to run either. So that's going to be tough to get ready for, well, what's Matt Patricia going to do against us? They have no clue, which is going to be good for us because I think that'll be confusing for Arch Manning early on in the game. So, Nevada, anything to add on what to expect with Matt Patricia's scheme?
Gimmicky. It's going to be gimmicky. It's going to be gimmicky defense. Now, like you said, it's multiple. It's good. It's going to be all over the place. And his greatest strength is going to be his unpredictability and his willing to adapt. As you said, his scheme. He doesn't come in with a set scheme. He adapts the scheme to his players, and I think that's really attractive to Ryan Day.
For those of you guys that don't get it, there was somebody that said that Jim Knowles' defense was gimmicky. So that's why Nevada always says gimmicky.
4-2-5. It's nickel defense. Gimmicky.
That's what I said. I was like, he just runs nickel defense like every other team in all of football. Every team in the universe that has to go against 3 receivers goes nickel. I just, like, when people don't know football, it just makes my head hurt. All right, Nevada, let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, Julian Sayin, excited to see him in the spring. I expect him to take a big step forward. We need him to take a big step forward. Expect it to happen. And going to be one of the battles we're going to be keeping a close eye on. So I'm excited about it.
Any Poppy picks for us?
He will be posting Dagestan Poppy. If you like money and you like MMA, or if you just like money and you want to bet on it, Dagestan Poppy will be releasing his picks tonight. You can go to Dagestan Papi, and he'll be releasing it like an hour before the thing, so it could be any time. Get some action for tonight. And he's been best MMA handicapper in the world, official handicapper, Buckeye Scoop, and the best handicapper in the world. So take the free money.
I think he's actually doing a YouTube show right now.
Oh, there you go. I don't know if he's giving his pick. He might be. I don't know. Poppy, I don't know what he's doing. But if it's on there, listen to it. If not, check his Twitter for his thing. Because always about an hour before the card starts, he'll give you his picks.
Well, my favorite thing is I can't ever remember how to spell Dagestan. D-A-G-E. Dagestan Poppy.
Yeah. It's phonetic.
Okay. It is phonetic. Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. And I appreciate you guys for being a huge part of this show. Again, this is another huge show because you guys made it one. Let me know where you guys want to meet up at. Again, obviously, we are Buffalo Wild Wings, and Peaks have been where we've gone in the past. I'm open to anywhere, especially if they want to sponsor us, because that's usually what it takes for us to show up. But yeah, it's been too long. I can't wait to see you guys. So if you guys want to do something huge for us, please follow us on Apple Podcasts. Super easy to do, easy way to help us grow the show. Grab anyone's phones around and have them subscribe to. Easy way to help us, and it's super simple. Leave us a 5-star review too. Those are all helping us people find the new show, and we appreciate you guys. So again, if you guys enjoy our content, leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys had a great Valentine's Day, and we will see you guys at 7 tomorrow. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and watch that UFC tonight. It's going to be a banger. Go Bucks.